And now to get the story up, there it is. So we've been looking at the story of Rabbi Joseph de la Reina, and he went on a quest. If we just review the first part of the story that we had last week, he's on a quest to defeat Satan so that the Messiah can come. But if you recall, or if you don't recall, if you're new to this, he's already, and he has a group of disciples who are faithfully following him and doing all of the mystical and spiritual exercises to purify themselves, to be able to move forward and be worthy of this mission. And he keeps getting warned that this is not a good idea. First, he was warned by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He visited Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who of course was long dead, but he speaks to his spirit, and Shimon Bar Yochai says, "Don't do this. It's too dangerous, and you're not going to be able to do it." And he nevertheless has total conviction, so that Shimon Bar Yochai says, "Okay, gesund to hate, my blessings to you." Then Elijah, the prophet, comes and warns him also and tells him, no, this is not a good idea. And the rabbi again stands firm, and Elijah gives him some advice about how to get to Sandalphon, the angel that will give him further instructions. And that's what we're up to. So we're up to right here where it says, then the angel Sandalphon and his host came down to them. We read this already, but we can back up a little bit and then go forward to continue with the story. So who's gonna fight over the privilege of reading the story here? All right.
I don't care if you.
Carol, that's it. Good. I see your hand waving. That means you raised your hand. So it's all yours. You did.
Okay. I'll know better the next time.
No, that's all right. So can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Good.
Then the angel Sandalphon and his host came.
Sandalphon.
You really want me to read when I can't pronounce the names?
You can
now.
Then
angel Sandalphon and his host came down to them and said, "Son of Adam, worm that you are, what gave your heart the audacity to set the upper and lower worlds shaking? Have the self-respect to stay at home, or my forces may strike you and burn you with their breath." But Rabbi Joseph answered in a low and broken voice, "My Lord, holy angel of God, what can your servants say in your presence? I am left without breath as though I were dead. So great is my fear and awe." As soon as the angel heard this, he touched him and said, "Stand up and say what you have to say, for I have strengthened you." Indeed, when the angel touched him, he rose up and gathered strength and prostrated himself, then removed his shoes from his feet. But as his disciples, they still had their faces to the ground and could not rise. Then Rabbi Joseph spoke, "Welcome, peace be with you, an angel of the Lord of hosts, and peace be with all your holy forces. I entreat you, give me the strength and courage to carry out my will, for it is not to honor myself or my Father's house that I do this, but for the sake of the living God, the King, who is King of Kings. I entreat you, Holy One, with all your holy forces, to agree to wage war against Amalek and his prince together with me, and instruct me as to what I must do." I need it raised up. Amalek and his prince together with me, and instruct me as to what I must do to remove the rule of wickedness from the earth.
Okay, so even the idea that he's going to have the strength to even say what his request is, he needs strength from the angel. So the angel gives him that ability to even just put forth his petition. And now he is begging for help from Sandalphon and all of the lower angels that Sandalphon rules over to help him on his quest to defeat Amalek, evil, and his prince, the prince of evil, right? Satan or Samael, the otherwise known as the angel of death sometimes, right? The angel that is evil, okay, the prince that is evil. So he's asking for his help to give him the strength and the wherewithal to do that. Here we go.
The angel answered Rabbi Joseph, saying, "Indeed, your words are good and proper, if only you might be heard, and God be with you. But you must know, son of Adam, that all you have done until now is nothing. If you were to know the high position with Samael, with his forces, has reached, you would not engage in this matter. For who can prevail against him except the Holy One and Blessed One himself, until the time comes to fulfill his word? I have come to you now in respect to the great name you pronounce. But what can I do? But what can I do for you? For I am unable to learn."
So, okay, wait a second. So again, we get this Gesundheit, this discouraging reaction, and he's being warned. He says to him, Sandalphon says to Rabbi Yosef, you think that you've braved all of these perils and that now you're ready for the fight? This is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into, and only God can defeat Samael. You are bringing yourself into a place that's really beyond your capacity and beyond mine. What can I even do for you? For I am unable to learn.
What is the extent of the strength of Samael and his host, on what his fall and his rise depend? None know this except the angel
Achtariel. Even I'm having it depends on different people give vowels differently. Some other read it as Akatriel, but he's reading it as Achtariel. Achtariel comes from the word keter, which means crown. So this is a higher angel that is crowned by God, by God's crown. So what Sandalphon says, you think I'm a big shot? I'm nothing. I have no idea what's going on with Samael. Only Achtariel can help you out. Go ahead. Now, none know
the great angel Achtariel and his hosts and Metatron. I knew I shouldn't have read. Prince of the presence and his hosts. Yet who can stand before such mighty angels? For if you were frightened by me, how will you be able to even exist in their presence?
Okay, so even higher, we're going higher and higher, and the more exalted we go, the more frightening, the more terrifying the spiritual beings are. And he says to him, what hope do you have, to withstand that? But
Rabbi Joseph answered, I am youthful and puny, and I myself know that I am not worthy of doing this thing. Yet I also know that God will not despise a broken and depressed heart. I have made up my mind to sacrifice myself for the sanctity of the Holy and Blessed One and his Shekinah. I can say it in my head, but I can't. Shekinah. Therefore, holy ministering angel of the Lord, instruct me as to what I should do to bring down Achriel and Meteron, and what further privations I must add in sanctity and purity, and what is the name by which I can conjure them.
Okay, so Rabbi Yosef keeps on asking. He says, I am youthful. What does that convey to us? When somebody says I'm youthful, what does that mean to us? When he says I'm youthful, what is he trying to say?
He's immature.
So yeah, and
He's trying to talk about how his worth, that it's important to keep him around.
the opposite. Youthful is that he's not worth anything. Youthful is, I know that I'm really nobody. I'm a nobody. In our culture, being youthful is, something, greatly to be desired, right? We'd all kill to be more youthful than we are today. At least some of us here, in our group. Because we live in a youth culture, right? We live in a culture that values youth, that values, vitality and all that kind of stuff. But this story comes out of a culture that values wisdom, that values overcoming the physical, that values reaching a place of, knowledge and purity and, spiritual qualities that youthfulness seems to be the opposite of. Youthful is impetuous, and youthful is leading to temptation, and youthful is not wise, so ignorant. So when he says I'm youthful, he's saying I really don't have good qualities. Right? I know that I'm a nobody, even though for us the word youthful sounds like a compliment. Oh, you're looking so youthful. Right? Can you imagine if youthful was taken by people to be an insult? It's absolutely never considered a youth, an insult today. But in the context of this story, a youthful would say, when a person says I'm youthful, they're putting themselves down. They're trying to say, I know I'm not worth much. I'm not worthy of doing this thing. Nevertheless, I have something else going for me. So what is this? What's the quality that he has going for him?
His youthfulness.
No, the youthful quality is not an advantage. His youthful quality is a detriment. Being youthful is bad. What does he have that's going for him? That's good. His heart.
Yeah.
He cares. He has a broken heart. He's sad about the world. He cares about how terrible the world is, that the situation in the world is a situation where everybody is downtrodden and in pain and is suffering and unhappy. His heart is his great quality. And not only does he care, but he's also stubborn. He cares so much that he won't take no for an answer. So that's his recommendation. He says, whatever it is, I've got this heart that God will not despise. Okay, so I've made up my mind. Okay, so now at the end, what he says is, okay, if I have to get to talk to, I have to make an appointment now with Achtariel and Metatron. So, of course, these are really big honchos, so to speak. Not everybody can make an appointment with them. How do you get an introduction to these super, super important VIPs that only talk to their own elite, comrades and connections? So he says, first of all, what privations do I have to do in addition? What other ritual acts of, disciplining myself and turning away from physical enjoyments to purify myself? And then what is the name by which I can conjure them? So he says there must be some special divine name that has magical powers, that if I call out that name, they will not be able to resist. They will have to answer me. They will have to come to speak to me. So this is the idea that God's name supersedes everything. There are different names with different powers. And what is the powerful name of God that I can magically recite so that Metatron and Achtariel, these two super archangels, will have no choice, but they'll have to take my phone call, right? They'll have to pay attention to me. So here we go.
The angel spoke again. The angel spoke again, saying, please hear my words, and God be with you. Continue for 40 days whatever immersions, fasts, and purification of thought that you have done until now. Let not your thoughts depart from the concepts even for a single moment by day or night. After 40 days, pronounce the holy name of power, which consists of 72 letters, with all intents and vocalizations, and with its source, which is known to you. Therewith you can conjure those two great and mighty angels who shall instruct you as to the ways of Samael and how you can bring him down. May the Lord guard you from all evil and preserve your soul. Then the angel of the Lord went heavenward in a tempest.
Okay, so he has to just keep on doing what he's doing, and let not your thoughts depart from the concepts even for a single moment. Total concentration, total dedication, and 40 days of this. What number does that conjure for us? Where do we get 40 days? 40 days, which includes 40 nights. Where do we have that earlier? Anywhere else? That's the same period of time that Moses is on Mount Sinai getting the Torah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's this magical, again, period of time. And you have to do all of this, continuous concentration and magical formulas and the 72 letter name of God. And they will appear and they will tell you the next things that you need to know. They'll teach you about Samael and how to defeat him. That secret that nobody else knows.
They rose up and went away from there through the wilderness to a certain mountain near Meron, where they found a cave in which they dwelt.
So time out just for a second. Where is this? We're in the land of Israel, and Meron is a mountain in the Galilee. It's right near Haifa, and that's where traditionally Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is buried. And on Lag BaOmer, when in normal circumstances, not now with the pandemic, Lag BaOmer is the anniversary of his death, and they see thousands of people come to Mount Meron, and they light bonfires, and they stay up all night, and they sing songs, and they study the Zohar, mystical texts. They pray early in the morning. So this is a kind of a semi-holy mountain. And this is where they come, and there are caves there. One cave is supposedly the cave where Elijah the prophet is buried. Or obviously he's not buried there, but a marker is there, and other holy people. So they found a cave, they go and they live inside the cave. Good, for 40 days.
For 40 days, they followed all their instructions in holiness and purity. They missed nothing until they could sense nothing corporally of themselves. All those days they saw neither man nor beast. When they had completed the 40 days, they went out into the wilderness to a place near the source of the river Kishon. For there they had been bathing all those 40 days. They prepared themselves to pray the great afternoon prayer. They marked a circle on the ground and entered into it. Each one gave his hand to his friend, so that their hands were linked together in a circle. Then they cried unto the Lord after prostrating themselves, and they pronounced the express name. And they conjured the angel Acriel and his host together with the angel Metatron and his hosts. When they pronounced the great name, the earth heaved and shook, and there were lightnings and thunders, and the heavens opened. The angels with all their hosts came down and sought to smite Rabbi Joseph and his disciples. But they kept their hands together and strengthened their concentrations on names they knew in their minds, though they did not pronounce them, because they did not have the strength to speak. They all fell to the ground, but held their hands linked together and did not separate.
So what does that motif mean to people? That this is emphasized here again and again and again, that besides reciting the prayers and engaging in mystical contemplation, meditation, the really important part here, they lose their strength. They've transcended their physicality. They've transcended what it means to be a creature of this world. They're totally turned to spirit, and they hold hands together. What's with the holding hands together?
They're in it together, and by holding hands, it gives them strength. It gives them strength. They're not alone. They're together, and being with other people and having numbers gives you strength.
Anybody else want to add? Carney, Danielle? Anybody? Okay. So, well, it is very, to me, I mean, look, you can read this story anytime you want. But right now, what Carol is saying, of course, is very poignant. That after all, this is very much what we're missing today, right? We're missing that sense of being able to hold on to another person. We know that just the idea of holding somebody's hand, as the song says, I want to hold your hand. Just holding a person's hand can be so meaningful and so touching, literally touching. We say touching, right? People I know that work in very challenging situations, like being a chaplain in a hospital. They have to go in to see people who are in pain, who are suffering in other ways, family members who see the people that they love who are wounded, in all kinds of situations. Obviously, the COVID situation is a terrible situation, and they feel if they can be there with the other person and actually hold on to somebody's hand, they do that even when words fail. And when they can't do that, as they would normally do with a patient, they feel that lack so tremendously, so painfully. Just, again, not to know, we have this whole story is full of uttering magic words. This whole story is full of being able to know the secret word and the secret pronunciation that you say these things, and then all of a sudden the angels come and poof, all kinds of things, miracles and weird things can happen. So there's so much here about the power of speech and of secret speech. But here's this group that has gone to the nth degree in that situation. But what they do actually what they need to do here in order to not be, vanquished by the stress and the power of the encounter that they're seeking with forces greater than them. It's not the words; it's holding on to each other.
Wasn't kind of an archetypal scene? I can't come up with a particular example, but there are a lot of stories, even Harry Potter, where people join hands and pass through to the other side.
Yeah, this is very, like you say, this is an archetypal idea that you have to hold hands together in order for the power to be able to work. And that's this deep sensing of our connection with each other, beyond all other problems or challenges. So here they are. They're practically, no longer alive. They have no strength. They fall on the ground. They can't even speak anymore. But they don't let go. Don't let go of the other person's hand. Okay.
As soon as the said angels came down, they began to speak in a great fury, saying, "Who and where is the one who had the audacity to use the royal scepter?" When Rabbi Joseph saw this great vision, he felt as though he were dumb and slumbering with his face down, and he and his disciples were completely exhausted. But the angel Meteron touched him and said, "Speak up, answer, you stinking drop. What is this great alarm which has brought us to you? And woe betide you, because you have not been concerned for the honor of your maker." Then when the angel touched him, Rabbi Joseph opened his mouth and said in a faint voice with closed eyes, "What can this abject, worthless slave say in the presence of pure and holy angels if you do not strengthen me?" Then the angel Akhriel also stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, "See, I support you. Say your say."
Okay, so again, we have this a similar example of he can't even say what he wants to say without the terrifying angels giving him not only permission to say so, to say what he wants, but even the strength to say it. Right? It's all now. It's by the good graces of these awesome and powerful angels who are furious with him. It's only by their good graces that he's even going to be able to say a word.
At this, Rabbi Joseph answered, "God Almighty assuredly knows that I have not done any of this in revolt or deceit, but to honor the Holy and Blessed One and his Shekinah. Therefore, I entreat you, ministering angels, by the power of the great and holy name, show respect to his name and instruct me where the strength of Samael and his host is to be found and what I must do to bring him down." The angels answered together, "This is a difficult request. Had you only known how mighty and powerful he has become because of the transgressions of Israel. None can bring him down, for his nest is amid the stars where his seat is surrounded by 3 barriers. You cannot prevail against him, and none do so except the Holy and Blessed One himself when it is time to fulfill his word."
Okay, so the angels now answer that the situation is as terrible as it is for a reason. We actually had it previously. Where is it? I think here. Where was it? Here, if you were to know the high position which Samael with his forces has reached, right? It's not simply by essence. Samael is some high and mighty ruler, some super powerful force. He has become high and powerful. He has reached a special distinction. How did he get there? And the answer we have now is, had you only known. How did he become so mighty and powerful? Because of the sins of Israel. Because every time we sin, we add power to the devil. We add power to Samael. So it's
Interesting
up to us.
concept.
Right, it's up to us. It really depends on us. If we do a mitzvah, then we add power to the forces of good. If we do an aveira, a sin, then we are augmenting the powers of evil. And originally, when we had the very first encounter with Rashbi, with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, "Look, you want to fight against the devil? Just go do commandments. Go, just be a good person, be a good Jew, and that'll be your contribution." And Rabbi Yosef de la Reina wants to do more. But here we find out that collectively, with all of our failings, we keep on empowering more and more the prince of darkness. And therefore now he is so exalted that he's untouchable. Only God will be able to defeat him. When God decides that it's the right time. Okay,
Rabbi Joseph went on again saying, "I have already risked my soul for the honor of the Holy and Blessed One and his Shekinah, after I have seen the holy hosts and my soul has been delivered. I trust in the loving kindness of God that he will aid me and I will succeed if your pure words will instruct me and tell me what to do. Whatever you may tell me, I shall indeed fulfill."
Okay, so he's pledging, he says, look, I'm working on behalf of God. So if God is the only one who can defeat Samael, at least I can be a helper to God. And God has been good to me until now. God knows that my intentions are pure. So if you tell me, I will be able to do whatever you instruct for the sake of God. He says here, for the honor of the Holy and Blessed One and his Shekhinah. Just a quick explanation of that. Does anybody want to say, what does that mean? The honor of the Holy Blessed One and his Shekhinah. So anyone who studies a little bit of Zohar comes across this concept that God is one, right? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. But God is one the same way that two loving partners are one. When two loving partners come together, they are one. God has God's own companion, God's own loving companion. That's the Shekhinah. So the Shekhinah is God's presence on earth, and the Holy Blessed One is God's presence that transcends all of the earth. They are one and they are united. So I want to be the one who's going to help this united God who is great in heaven and on earth. And even though they seem to be two different gods, they're really the one God together. And I want to be the one to defeat evil. And God, I hope, will help me. Okay, then the angels answered.
Then the angels answered, Joseph, hear the word of the Lord. He who spoke and the world came into being is aware of your intention that your intention is desirable. But the time has not yet come, and the decree has already been made that you stir not up, you stir not up nor awake love. Yet nevertheless, in the view of your wisdom and knowledge of hidden secrets, which the rock of the universe has granted you, and by reason of them we are compelled to honor his great and holy name, to tell you and instruct you as to the way you should go.
Okay, so this is what's called a mixed message, right? It starts off by saying, let's be honest, this is not the right time. God does not yet feel that this is the moment to defeat Samael. This is a verse from the Song of Songs. It's not yet the time for the lovers to come together. Do not push it faster than it needs to be pushed. Nevertheless, because you're so dedicated and because God loves you so much, we are going to give you the guidelines on how to proceed. So this is a very a tricky message, right? On the one hand, they're saying this mission is bound to fail. On the other hand, they're saying, you know what, we can't stop you. I'm going to have to help you.
And after this, the angel Achiel began. You should know that on one side facing me, Samael has two powerful barriers. One is an iron wall which rises from earth to heaven, and the other is a great barrier of ocean. Similarly, the angel Metatron answered that on his side and facing him, Samael had a barrier consisting of a mighty snow mountain whose summit reached the skies.
Okay, so that makes how many barriers?
3.
3, and that's what we had before. That Samael is protected by 3 barriers. And therefore he's impregnable. Nobody can attack him. Nobody can get to him. So now they're laying it out. They're putting out the map. This is like getting ready for a military operation to see exactly how the enemy has fortified themselves. Okay, so we've got an iron wall, a barrier of ocean, and a gigantic mountain of snow. Okay.
Now, said they, pay careful attention to all we tell you, for you have to bring down these 3 barriers and eliminate them. This is what you must do. When you leave this place, make your way to Mount Seir, and we shall arrive before you to Mount Seir on high. Whatever you do below in accordance with our instructions to you, that we shall do above. The likeness of your soul would be on high with us. Whatever actions you perform below your soul will perform above.
Okay, whatever actions you perform below, your soul will perform above. So this is the idea that the material world is a mirror image or a corresponding reflection of what reality is above in the spiritual world. And now he's told that he has to go to Mount Seir. In our traditional prayers, we recite the prophetic prediction that at the end of time, when the final reckoning, the last judgment will happen, so Mount Seir is the mountain of Esav, who is the representative of the evil forces in the world, and the judgment will be against the forces of evil, and they will be defeated by Hashem Hamlucha, and that's when God's kingdom will finally be established. So here, what they're saying is, okay, you're going to have to go to this special place where the judgment has been reserved, and then we will tell you what to do, and whatever you do below will have reverberations above in the spiritual realm. When you go ahead.
When you go to Mount Seir, continue to be as holy as you have been till now in all your deeds, for your souls have already risen to such a height that you yourselves have almost attained the degree of angels and have forgotten the ways of the corporeal world. Continue in this fashion. Along the way you will
1 second.
Along the way you will encounter a great horde of black dogs, these being of the companies of Samael, who he will send to confuse you in your intention. But have no fear and pronounce the expanded name of
Hey Vav Yud Hey.
Hey Vav Yu Hey in such a fashion that its numerical value shall be 52 at the beginning of the numerical value of the Hebrew word for dog, which is Caleb.
So Caleb, the word for dog is Chaf Lamed Beis. Chaf is 20. Lamed is 30. 20 and 30 is 50. Beis is 2. So the word for dog, Kelev, equals 52. So you have to counter these dogs of hell, right? These black dogs that are being sent by they're Satan's guard dogs. In order to counter them, you have to take God's holy name, but use it in a way that it will equal 52. Okay, the word hey vav yud hey only equals 26, right? But guess what? How do we get to 52?
I want to say you double it.
Correct. So what you have to do is, in Hebrew, the hey can be spelled with one letter, hey, but hey also can be spelled hey, right? Like if you spell the letter D, you can write a D, or you can write D-E-E, right? To sound out the word D, right? So in Hebrew, hey, you could just write that letter and pronounce it, or you can write it out, hey. Vav, that's the V there. Vav is the second letter. So you could just write the letter Vav, or you could write it out Vav. So you double the Vav and you get the pronunciation of Vav. Yud doesn't have two Yuds, but Yud is one letter. But you can write out Yud as Yud Vav Dalet. And then Yud has a numerical value of 10. Vav is 6. Dalet is 4. 6 and 4 is 10. So again, doubles itself. And then Hey doubles itself when you write it out full. So the expanded name of Yud Hey, of Hey Vav Yud Hey, Havaya, actually ends up being equal to 52. Go.
Concentrate on its correct vocalization and formula, and they will flee away from you. Go on from there and climb the mountain where you will find a great mass of snow up to the skies.
This story
Then
was
mention
written
the
before global warming. We don't have as much snow as we used to. Go ahead.
way before global warming.
Right.
Then mention the name which is derived from the verse, have you entered the treasuries of snow? And the mountain will be removed from its place. After that, pronounce the name derived from it snows in Zalman, and the mountain will vanish entirely. Continue with these concentrations until you reach the other barrier of ocean, whose waves mount up to the skies. Pronounce over it the names that are derived from the psalm. Ascribe to the Lord, O you sons of the mighty, and it will dry up, and you will pass dry shod through its midst. Go forward.
So we've gotten the shock troops are the black dogs. So we eliminate them, right? Then we get to the mountain of snow. And by using certain verses in the Torah that talk about snow and reciting them in a way to see them as God's names, then we counter and cancel out the snow. So that's the first barrier. The second barrier was the ocean and the waves. And the same thing, the weapon is using special verses about the waters. This is from Psalm. The other verses I would have to look up. But this is famous. Psalm 29 is the psalm that we recite Friday night and also on Shabbat when we take the Torah out, when we put the Torah back. So that's the beginning of Psalm 29. Okay, so with that special psalm, we end up getting rid of the second barrier. Okay, anybody remember what the third barrier was?
Iron.
Iron, a wall of iron. Good for you. Go ahead. Go forth.
Go forward after that, and you will encounter a great wall of iron rising from the earth to the skies. Take a knife in your hand and write upon it the name which is derived from the verse, the sword of the Lord and for Gideon.
For the Lord and for Gideon. Right? And this is a sword on behalf of God and Gideon.
And cut with the knife into the iron, make an opening and enter through it. But be careful to hold the opening fast until you and your disciples have passed through, so that it should not close. For after you have all gone through, the opening will close. After that, go forward until you reach Mount Seir.
Right. Okay. So this is now the last barrier. And there's a magical knife that can cut through the iron curtain. This is actually where Winston Churchill got that image. He took it from this story, and so it has a verse of the Bible written on it, and that gives it its special superpowers. And it cuts open it slices open a rip in the curtain and in the wall. And then you have to hold it because it's going to close up again. And you need to make sure that everybody gets through, because once it closes, it closes. Okay.
At that very time, we shall fling Samael from his place, and he will already be entrusted into your hand. And then let the holy name be prepared, written, and engraved by you on a plate of lead. Likewise, prepare another plate on which you shall engrave the name which is derived from the verse in Zechariah. And he said, this is wickedness. And he cast her down into the midst of the measure, and he cast the weight of lead over its mouth. After this, you may go wherever you desire in Mount Seir, and there you will find the wicked Samael and Lilith, his mate, in the form of two black dogs, a male and a female. On the male set the plate with the holy name, and on the female set the other plate, and put a rope around their necks at once, to which the plates are attached, and they will follow you together with all their band. Then the Lord's desire will already have been achieved by you, and you will bring Samael. Can you lift it up? will bring Samuel to judgment upon Mount Seir, which you have already passed. There a great
Okay,
shofar.
so wait, before we get to the shofar. So we get this elaborate plan that has to be done. And the idea being that there's the forces of good on the one hand, and the prophecy of the destruction of evil on the other. And they have to get in, first of all, and then they have to, with these plates of lead, they have to make leashes with the plates. So this is actually what they're doing, is they're doing a kind of a dog tag and a leash. And Samael and his consort, just like God is connected to the Shekhinah, just as God has a loving partner, Samael, the evil one, has a loving partner. And they both need to be defeated as one. So the idea is you're going to have to capture these two black dogs. One of is Samael, the male dog. One is Lilith, the female dog. And you put on the leash with the dog tag, and that will subdue them. Then they'll have to follow you, right? Then they'll have to follow you wherever you go. And then this God will be able to accomplish the final judgment. Good. Here we are. There, a great shofar.
There a great shofar will be blown, and Messiah will appear and will purify the earth from the spirit of pollution.
Okay, that great shofar, one second, that great shofar we pray for every day, and we pray for it on Rosh Hashanah. Teka b'shofar gadol l'cheirutenu. Ve'haya bayom ahu yitaka b'shofar gadol. On that final day, a great shofar will be blown, and everyone will hear that great shofar blast. So we pray for the great shofar blast of redemption, and now it's finally going to happen, and Mashiach will come. Go ahead.
The Holy and Blessed One will slaughter that spirit in the presence of the righteous, and there shall be a full redemption. But be very cautious with the said intentions. Also take exceedingly great care, for when Samael and his mate are in your hands, they will cry and appeal to you to give them something to eat or drink, or any food to maintain their bodies. Pay no attention to them and do not give them anything. May the Lord be your guide and guard your children from snares.
No,
and
your feet.
Oh, I'm sorry. And guard your feet from snares. And with that, the two holy angels ascended to heaven in a tempest.
Okay, how does that sound? Does that sound like mission achievable? Is that something that everybody here could do? It comes straight out of all these, Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of things and stuff like that, right? This is it. And what's the final? The final warning is you're going to have Samael and Lilith captured, and they're going to keep on begging you to give them something to eat, to be nice to them. And
I would think the angels don't want them to feed them, because if they feed them, it's going to give them strength.
Right.
And if you give them strength, they're going to rise up and fight, and you don't want them fighting.
Right. So, but like anybody knows, when somebody else is crying, help me, please. There's a big challenge. Are you gonna be able to withstand all of that pleading? They're gonna cry and appeal to you, please. No, overcome your compassion. Pay no attention to them. Okay, good luck. And with that, they disappear. Okay. We're moving right along.
After the angels had ascended, Rabbi Joseph and his disciples rose and started toward Mount Seir. Bands of black dogs came toward them, but at once they uttered the name which they had been commanded, and the dogs scattered and disappeared. After this, they encountered a great mountain of snow, and immediately they strengthened themselves with the aforementioned names and combinations, and the mountain shifted from its place. And with the other aforementioned combination, aforesaid combination, it vanished entirely. They went on 2 more days, and on the 3rd day, they saw before them a huge and spacious ocean. As soon as they mentioned the proper names, they passed through its dry shot. At noon, they reached the iron wall. Rabbi Joseph took the knife on which he had written the prescribed name and made an opening with it. They held the opening, but as they passed, the last of the disciples was slow, and the opening slipped away from Rabbi Joseph's hand and land on the disciple's foot.
Closed
Closed on the disciple's foot so that it was caught. At once, Rabbi Joseph took out the knife and cut the iron away from the disciple's foot, and he passed through. They climbed Mount Seir to its summit.
Okay, so what do you make of that extra wrinkle in the story?
Something's going to happen because they left a hole in the iron.
So that's what you're predicting, some kind of glitch later on.
Yes.
That's going to happen. But first of all, we just simply have this is like a thriller. It's a thriller. Yep. Like they're trying to get to the special place that they have to get to. And here it almost doesn't, gets ruined, right? His hand slips, right? Just at the last moment, his hand slips, and one of the disciples is caught between the safe space and the real world, right? They're trying to penetrate this iron wall, and he's stuck in between. And Rabbi Yosef is responsible for this, literally for this slip up. But then he has the good, what can I say, awareness. He still has the knife, and he takes the knife and he uses the knife magically to take that iron off of the disciple's foot and come through. So this is like everybody that's sitting around listening to this story has been on the edge of their seats at this point, and they're worried that something is going to happen that's going to mess up the whole mission. And it was a close call, but they make it, and they get to the top of the summit.
But it doesn't say whether it closed completely or there was a hole.
Well,
because it says he cut away the iron.
He cut the iron from the disciple's foot, so he was able to get through. But
but did that leave a hole in? What we don't know is if it left a hole or not.
Guys, all right, so you're going to have to hang on to your seat and see what happens, because it says here, after all of you have gone through, the opening will close again, right? So we'll see. You've got something to keep on paying attention to. Is there going to be something going through that hole that's going to mess things up even further? Okay, I think we'll get through one more paragraph. We've got a minute, and we'll be able to, I hope, finish the rest of the story next time. Go ahead.
Okay. There they found a crater within which were several ruins, from where they heard dogs barking. They entered one of the ruins, where they found two great black cowering dogs, a male and a female. When they approached, the dogs leaped at them to rend them. But Rabbi Joseph had the plates in his hand. Sensing at once that these dogs were Samael and Lilith, he stretched out his right hand and set one plate upon the neck of the male dog, and with the left hand set the other on the neck of the female. His disciples had the ropes ready in their hands and tied them up with the plates upon them.
What do you think of that? Yay! All right, mission accomplished. We are doing great. So at this point, we leave our hero till next week's matinee, and we'll see, how the whole story concludes. So yasher koach to everybody, and see you hopefully next time, which will be Erev Thanksgiving. Everybody's okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Good.
Who's going anywhere at this point?
Right, exactly. All right. Take care. I'm gonna have to now gonna end sharing, and then I'm gonna end recording.
Oh, could